Real unlock on AI is when it moves from a tool to a teammate, from a tool to a digital colleague. And that's a mindset shift. Like, this is the biggest behavioral change management challenge of our lives. When I'm looking at the audience, I can promise each one of you today that if you're willing to work with AI, if you're willing to work with co-pilots or whatever tools you use, there's 30% productivity for you today. 30% productivity. Right? But you have to be willing to work with this, right? And it's a mindset shift. The first time the prompt doesn't work, keep trying. And that's how you get better at this technology. So how do you bring a generation of people who work with agents with the right growth mindset, the real learning mindset? I learn an hour every day and I'm always behind. And going back to this piece around you can't get fit by watching others go to the gym, are you going to the gym every day on learning? And how does, from a culture perspective, how do you drive that? And then finally, we have this concept that we're now calling, which is frontier firms. And these firms are different in a few ways. First is these firms are thinking about intelligence on tap. And let me ask you a question here, which is, if you had to put intelligence to work in any organization today, how would you do it?
Sorry,
if you had to put intelligence to work in your team, how you typically will hire people, create a team?
Yeah. So typically, at Walmart, we are always people-led and tech-powered.
Yeah.
So we look at tech as an empowerer of people. So it will start with talent and people. It will start about skilling them, hiring the right people, providing the right training and skills to them, eventually placing them in the right places in the organization.
Fantastic. So that's how we currently put intelligence. I do the same at Microsoft. You've got a problem, new business, something to do. You hire a team, you pull people together, you get them going, right? What these frontier firms are trying to do is something different, which is, can we have intelligence on tap, which is, can we move intelligence from the scarce, hard to get commodity to something which is abundant, which is on tap, right? Which is, and you need intelligence to solve a problem for the next 7 days, 3 hours a day, you get intelligence to work. And which goes back to this thesis of AI, which is, do we have the ability to manufacture intelligence for the first time as humankind? Intelligence is the most precious commodity we know, but do we have the ability to do this? So one is, I think they're thinking deeply about how do you get intelligence to work for you. Second is this piece around what you and I were talking outside, which is digital colleagues joining the workforce. We all see human labor, we see teams of people. Can you have digital colleagues join the workforce now? And the unlock there, Hari, is, which is, can you start thinking of AI not just as a tool now, but as a teammate? So you staff a team, you'll have 5 engineers and you'll have 20 agents. And this has, and by the way, the current set of agents that we've seen so far are a little primitive, but the new generation of agents that we're now talking about, that we're building at Microsoft, are autonomous agents which can goal seek in an unstructured environment, go solve the problem for you, take all the noise out and come back and say, hey boss, I've got something interesting for you. So I'll say 3 things. I think the first is, for me, when it comes to AI, I think the first principle I use it myself, personally for myself and at Microsoft, is belief comes before ability. Right? So before we talk about learning AI and skills, it starts with belief, which is, do you really believe this technology can help you and be a partner? And so I start there. And by the way, the results are very clear. I'll give you some Microsoft data to bring this to life. For all the salespeople today that are using AI at Microsoft, they're creating 9.3% more top line. They're closing deals 20% faster. So if you're running a business $100 in India, that's $9 more of top line, right? So just as an example, right? Customer service, customer resolution rate is going up by 12%. Building products and coding, we've gone to public with this, but a third of our code last year was written by GitHub Copilot, a third of our code at Microsoft, and we've shipped more products last year than the last 5 years combined. So I think the first is bringing this to life and creating belief in, we've got 25,000 engineers in India. Globally, we're obviously a massive organization like you guys, but how do you make sure that everybody believes this works for them? So I think that's the first thing that it starts with. Second is, like, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, my office, my team that works with me closely showed me the org chart. And by the way, we should stop using org charts. We should have work charts now. But they showed me the org chart where we have a few colleagues of mine. And then we had an agent show up in the org chart. And the agent is called Tara for some reason. But basically, really thinking about each and every person in the company, either hiring or building a digital colleague. That's my test, right? So the question I ask everybody, including myself, is, am I really getting AI to work with us with digital colleagues? And I think that's the second thing that's really important. And then third is, folks, I'll go back to this piece around learning. If you're not learning AI, and if everybody at Microsoft is not learning, I was at a company this morning where they're saying 100% of our people have to be AI certified by the end of the year. And not just AI certified to tick the box, but genuinely get AI to work for you. If if you're not learning, you will fall behind. You will not be relevant. So how do you make sure that everybody in the company, this is the time to be growth mindset oriented more than ever. And really, if you're not learning, you will fall behind. And I tell my teams the opposite of knowledge on AI is not ignorance, it's the illusion of knowledge. Sometimes we believe that we have knowledge on AI and we get it. I can promise you nobody gets it, we're not learning. How's Microsoft really supporting customers? I think that at least, and I'll give you an India thing and I extrapolate it to the world. I think the first is infrastructure, which is, there's a generation of customers today, Sarvam, I think is in the room, I just met the founders outside, who are really thinking about building a set of LLMs or tweaking the right models for the Indian context. So really supporting them in the infrastructure layer. The second is application and use cases. And there's a lot of AI washing going on. And there's a lot of hobby projects going on. I was with somebody this morning who was showing me a picture that they created using AI for cheetah wearing a backpack, inventing electricity and jumping off the rooftop. And they showed me a beautiful picture, but it didn't mean anything. Like, just use this, right? But how do you really move from hobby projects to real ROI and driven use cases? And there are 4 areas that we're going after: productivity for every employee, customer experiences, innovation, and then of course driving completely different set of products and services that we've never built. But really focusing on that. And then third is, this world is getting complicated. There are 2,000 models today on Azure OpenAI, and there'll be billions of agents. But creating the UI layer for AI so that every person can have a UI layer for AI, which is co-pilots. So I think that's a little bit of just the innovation that we're doing. Your last piece around security and governance, I think that matters more than ever. My biggest worry is shadow AI. Every company that I go to, I talk to the CEO, the CIO, the CTO. My first question to them is, do you really know what's going on? Which is every employee in your company is using some tool, uploading documents and playing around with that data. And that should worry the hell out of you, which is, how do we do this in a secure environment with the right guardrails, the right entitlements? Like, should your agent have the same entitlements as you or a different set of entitlements, right? Some of this needs to be discussed and debated and worked on. So doing this in a secure, trusted, enterprise-ready way so that we can build trust.